talk about some of the games coming up this weekend, Ross. Probably the most interesting one to me is Oklahoma, Texas. It feels like if the Longhorns and Arch Manning are going to revive this thing, if they're going to give themselves a shot to sneak into the expanded playoff, this is probably the opportunity for them to do that. And meanwhile, they're going up against an Oklahoma team that it sounds like may well get their quarterback back this week.
Absolutely, yeah. For Texas, you are backed against a corner. You already got 2 losses, and look, they were, one of those losses was certainly against probably the best team in the country in Ohio State. But you really, at this point in your schedule, which is a very hard one, you can't really afford another loss, right? And so they are kind of backed in a corner. And as you mentioned, Arch Manning has struggled, 5 interceptions through 5 games. And you've got John Mateer on the other side, Oklahoma, and a defensive front for Oklahoma, probably the best that I've seen in college football this year. And John Mateer looks like he's going to play, right? He was upgraded from questionable to probable now, despite having surgery just 16 days ago on a broken hand, a thumb, a throwing hand at that. But it does look like he is going to at least give it a go to try to play. But this is a fascinating matchup to see how John Mateer fares and see how Arch Manning will hold up against a very good Oklahoma front.
We've also got a top 10 matchup, Indiana going up against Oregon. It's amazing what Kirk Cinetti has done for that Hoosiers program. This feels like one of those measuring stick type games. It was a great story last year, obviously, getting into the college football playoff. The fact that Indiana's quarterback at the time played with a torn ACL basically the entire season. But this is, it's one thing to be relevant and in the conversation. It's another thing to go up against a nationally ranked powerhouse every single year type of program and get a win.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? You're there in Oregon. It's going to be crazy and rocking and loud. That place is really awesome, to Autzen Stadium, to cover a game in. And then you get to on the field where they've got one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country in Dante Moore. I think he's got 14 touchdowns. He's only got 1 interception this year. DeCorian Moore is the freshman receiver who averaging like 16, 18 yards a catch. Got a few touchdowns as well. They look really good. I covered their game at Penn State, and Oregon is real. What is going on at Indiana over the last year or so is just stunning, right? Kurt Cignetti took over a program that was literally by wins, I think the worst program in major college football history. And he led them to the playoffs last year and 11 wins. And then this year they're 5-0, and they might have a better team than last season's team. The defense is probably playing better. You got Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. Really impressive. He's been really good. 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. Man, Tom, I am ready for this one. It should be fun.
Fernando Mendoza, he had a lot of offers. I know that in terms of where he was going to end up. The fact he chose Indiana as much as anything probably speaks to what Kirk Cinetti has done. Last thing for you, we got some other big ones. Obviously, you got Alabama against Missouri. You got Washington State against Ole Miss. Then you got Ohio State, that this isn't a huge game for them. But in your mind, talking to all the people that you do within college football, is this a situation where the Buckeyes are the clear favorites here to be the national champions? In other words, is it them and everybody else, or is there real debate right now about who the best team in college football is?
Well, I think there's some debate for me at the top: Ohio State, Miami, Oregon. I think those are sort of the 3 that you can make an argument who's the best team in college football. Beyond that, I think the argument gets a little more difficult. Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. You could throw some of those around, but I would say that Miami's offense is the best I've seen this year in college football. I would say Ohio State's defense is the best I've seen this year in college football. So to me, I got Miami number 1 in my poll, but they're all really tight. And you mentioned the big game for Ohio State, this week. They don't have a lot of big games left on the regular season schedule, like I guess at least against top 25 competition. So, Tom, this might be their biggest test until they get Michigan at the end of the year, a game, of course, they have lost 4 straight years.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.